Right, we'll have a closer look at this. This is my BSA Juvinile. These were made from 1912 up to 1914, and these were the rifle that came after the Junior, though both were for a time for sale, as BSA tried to use up unsold Juniors and use up the stock that they had in store to make them and get rid of them. But this was the predecessor to the Juvinile, and all in all it's a completely different rifle. Sadly I haven't got my Junior here at the moment to show you, but I will do a quick video when I get it back of the differences between the two. But basically the Junior was a lightweight pattern that had a couple of inches chopped off the barrel and a couple of inches chopped off the stock. And that really was the sum total of the differences. It had a slightly shorter cocking lever as well. So really it was literally just a lightweight pattern that had a few inches chopped off the barrel and a few inches chopped off the stock. It had the same cylinder, same mainspring, same trigger, same thickness of stock, same shape of stock, and same thickness of the barrel. The Juvinile, however, is a completely different kettle of fish. The Juvinile is much smaller and daintier everywhere, apart from the trigger. Everything else is scaled down. The stock is not only shorter, but it's also a lot thinner, and a lot less deep than the Junior. On the Juvinile, it's much shorter, it's much thinner. You can see it's got very thin stock, very dainty all round, really. Also, the cylinder is 1/8 of an inch thinner, so it's got a cylinder that's more the sort of thickness of the BSA breakdown style air rifle rather than the normal cylinder size that was maintained throughout the rest of the BSA range. And the barrel, while slightly longer than the Junior, it's about 1 inch longer than a Junior's barrel, is altogether more dainty. It's been made that length in the hole and not just chopped down. So it's a lot slenderer barrel than on a Junior. And the overall effect of this is to make a rifle that looks like a standard that's just been put in the wash, because everything is almost in the same ratio as on the standard. So the thickness of the stock and the length of the stock, the thickness of the cylinder and the length and thickness of the barrel, and everything is like a shrunken version rather than Junior, which looks quite a chunky, stubby little thing, because basically it's a lightweight that's just been sawn down. The other difference on this is the fact that these were given a completely different sight than normal for BSAs, in that they have a twin leaf sight. So I have a leaf sight there, and then this one folds up. This one is calibrated to roughly 10 yards. Obviously it's not exact because it depends on the condition of your washer and your spring and your rifle and what pellets you're using, but it was roughly 10 yards, and the pop-up one was roughly 20 yards. Now they reckon that the effective range of this rifle was about 30 yards, though effective against what, I don't know. It's not a weak air rifle. It does still pack a fair old punch, but it's not as powerful as the Junior, because the Junior had, like I say, the wider and bigger mainspring that was fitted to the standard light. So the Junior was more powerful than the Juvinile. But this nonetheless is a lovely, lovely little rifle, and it really is. It looks like, it's almost as if you're looking at a standard but from further away. It's dimensionally, everything is almost perfectly balanced out. A very, very elegant, dainty little rifle. And again, no expense spared. Just because this was meant for young children didn't mean that BSA skimped anywhere. The quality of it is superb. The engineering is really good. And it's a rugged and robust design. It's reckoned that there were just over, I think, let me just check on this. There's around about 1,000 of these rifles made. So they weren't a very numerous air rifle, even when they were new. And obviously, because they were designed for youngsters, and you know how youngsters are quite rough with rifles, they are fairly scarce these days. You don't come across many juveniles, and a lot of the ones you do are in a pretty bad way because youngsters and children aren't exactly careful with their guns. Having said that, this was still quite an expensive thing. You know, don't get me wrong, this was not a cheap children's rifle. This was an expensive rifle that any youngster would have been really, really happy and proud to have owned, because they were not cheap in comparison to the average wages of the day. They were an expensive item. But you see, it's like the quality of it's really, really nice. Standard adjustable trigger with a bolt through the trigger guard. Really nice rifles. Very, very smart. It's only made for 2 years, between 1912 and 1914, and about 1,000 made. So if you're lucky enough to have one of these, treasure it, because it's a scarce item. They're also good fun to shoot, though they are a little bit awkward to shoot because the length of pull is so short, because the stocks all came in at a standard length, and that was 11¼ inches, which is stamped on the bottom. So they are quite short rifles to shoot, perhaps because of the length, not the easiest of things to shoot if you're an adult, but nonetheless great fun.